Yeah. Which house did you say was the one there?
Good evening, the time is 7:15. It's January 19th, 2017. We're at the Littleton Zoning Board of Appeals in room 103 at 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton, and it is our regular January meeting. First item on the agenda is administrative matters.
There's a couple sets of minutes.
Okay. I've gone through the minutes. I had one change on October 20, the first hearing, 875A, 3 Lincoln Drive. 4 lines up from the bottom, the board, and cross out the words, the request. It's just repeated in there twice. The board determined
yep.
the request. Got it? That's the only change I had. Anyone else look at the October minutes yet?
Yeah, on the next page, under 877A, 5 lines down, yeah. Then twice.
I missed that one.
For emphasis.
Reminds me of Phil Russell in the that bad at town meeting.
Any else? Anybody else? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I so move.
Second. Red, were you second?
Sure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, Mark, you're the alternate member to go to all the hearings tonight. Cheryl will not be in,
Okay.
so you're it.
Okay, so I can vote.
So you can vote. So we have 5 unanimous to approve the minutes. I would like it to go on record that we're now up to December, and I think our minutes are all up to date. Hey, thank you, Shelley.
Except for the little
Good
meeting
job.
we had in the beginning of January.
Oh, I also want to comment that the minutes were very well done these 2 weeks, so appreciate that. I did not see any changes in the December set of minutes, except that I was not in the room for the Kimball Farm Village on the Common discussion, so if anybody has any changes to that.
No, I didn't see anything.
Then I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes as typed.
So moved.
Second,
Sorry.
Rod Allen, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Minutes are approved. I noticed in reviewing the minutes that we did talk about scheduling, maybe to have Roland address the board one night, and we haven't brought that up. I sort of thought we could wait until he's going to be here on something else anyway, but if he would like to do it sooner, that's fine.
Okay.
If it's something he wants to do. First hearing is scheduled for 8:30. I wanted to make just a couple of observations and comments. Scheduling them 15 minutes apart is great. I usually prefer 10 minutes apart with the first one to start at 7:15 for this very reason. And,
Fine with that.
pardon me?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and people have to understand that they're here at the board's pleasure. We're not here at their pleasure, so if they have to wait for the hearing, that's the way it's going to be. But we try to move it along and stay current. The other thing I wanted to say is that I've been to 2 or 3 ZBA meetings at other towns recently, and I'm going to send you the stuff, but both of the hearings that I went to, everything was scheduled at 7:15, and everybody had to be there the whole time and just wait. You could come in and see the agenda and see that you might be fourth on the agenda.
A lot of towns do that.
And go out in the hall maybe and kibitz, but everybody was scheduled at 7:15.
So you could pick and choose the order.
They can pick and choose the order, exactly, and they don't have to wait for the time, so an applicant, in fact, they were kind, they took one of mine out of order because all the people weren't there on the one ahead of me. So you're right, that's exactly what happened.
And there are some that, like, for example, the third one tonight is probably going to be the quickest one, but it had come in and I had already posted the original legal notice, so I had already assigned times to the other 2.
Right.
So I had to put them on last, even though I knew it would be.
Well, I don't care if you
so-
give 2 at the same time, ever.
Okay, all right. Good.
And I think, starting at 7:15 every 10 minutes makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
The other thing I had from one of them, if I can even find it now, I think I remember where I put it, was the agenda was printed on one side and at the door so people could pick it up. And on the back side was the order of proceedings, so people could turn it over and see. It
okay.
was kind of nice.
Yeah.
And it was generic. I thought I'd send it to you and see if we want to
Sure.
incorporate it, because it
Yeah.
seemed like a good idea.
What towns were those?
That was Maynard.
Oh, okay.
And then, actually, the Maynard order of proceedings was a planning board, but it was similar to what we do. And so I'll take a minute to say that, since we've got to kill time till 7:30. The reason we can't take you out of order is because your hearing was posted, and if abutters are coming to oppose or talk about it, they need to be here when we call the hearing. The way we do this is, we ask you to come forward and present your case. When you present, then the board will ask questions to clarify. When the board's done with their questions, then we open it up to anybody who's in the audience who wants to speak. And you have another chance to reply to anything. We ask everybody to be courteous and respectful, even if you have a difference of opinion. I don't think we'll have a problem tonight. Oh, wait, I didn't see Mr. Scott.
That changes the rules.
Do you need us for something?
He's here for Baldwin Hill.
Are you observing?
Witness is courteous and kind.
I've been hearing
A kinder, gentler board we are than the planning board. Did you see that map, Peter? Did you see that pass relief map there?
Been here a while. Times, it looks nice.
Yeah.
Who made all the little buildings?
I don't know, it's kind of interesting. I didn't see my office. Andrea said she's not on the map.
Yeah, I think they missed a couple of buildings, but the most part looks pretty cool.
Oh, my house is on it.
Are you on it? Can you see Robinson Road from here?
Yeah, you see my garage?
Here.
Robinson's
So
Road
see
right there.
that sort of right in the middle of the diagonal line that goes up
Oh, really? Cool.
Side Street?
Oh, yeah.
There's your building
Get what you needed?
at the bottom of the,
It's
at where
upside
it
down.
meets Great Road.
Oh, yeah.
Walk over and find the.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
I met somebody from your street this week.
Who? Can you tell me?
I can't remember where I met them, but they turned around and came back and introduced themselves as,
So here's your office.
my building's that big, yeah?
Yeah. This is the LW, this is Cheryl's.
Yeah.
Dentist, the one for sale. This one's gonna be for sale, my house, this one's gonna be for sale.
Where's Catano?
It's,
Oh, he's different from here?
yeah, this is his daughter's,
Oh, I see the, yeah.
this is Bob Moran.
Who's the two-story garage? See the double, keep going left, down on Great Road. It's like probably a proposal, but keep going left, keep going left. See the building they said, keep going left. It says two-story garage. It's a white thing. To the left, right there.
Oh, this, there's two level parking, yeah.
Isn't that a two-story garage?
Yeah?
That's the Toyota building?
No, this would be where the Oriole Market is.
No, what's the big rectangle?
This is Toyota.
And on the one on the left.
This is
it says-
Donald. No,
It
this
says Helipad on the one on the left.
Oh, way over on the left, isn't
back it up.
that, isn't that a compact?
Keep going.
Way over, keep going, and I can get over there. Oh, you, maybe they meant to drone landing.
Well, that's the swap and Moran building.
Yeah.
That's what?
That's Moran's building, so he wants to be able to land his helicopter there now? Does he have a Chinook? Is that what he has?
A helipad on Bob Moran's building. I guess for emergency. Yeah, medevac emergency.
There are certain landings, I think
so
St.
very
Anne's is
interesting.
one.
We need to-
That's
yeah, use
safe,
St.
it's on
Anne's
top
a
of
lot
the
here.
building.
So they're the same map, so what's the difference? I mean, is
There's
one
two different-
existing and one
I think the whites
proposed?
are proposed
Yeah.
massive potential development. I don't
understand the helipad on Bob Moran's, but you can see, Donald's is gone.
I look forward to that.
There's a joke in there somewhere. That clock is slow.
They're trying to look back.
It's got the real time. This guy just had a baby. We have to let him out of here.
This guy had a baby? That'd be pretty amazing.
His daughter or son?
Oh, it says 1 and 4. There must be, maybe there's 2 other ones too.
Oh, interesting. Is it 7:30? Is it close enough?
Right now.
Somewhere it is.
Close enough to 7:30?
Somewhere.
I promise if we start, we'll review it when abutters come in if they want me to. Okay, I'm going to open the 7:30 case number. It's about 7:27 and a half. Case number 881A. The petitioner, Andrew Struth, requests for a variance pursuant to Section 17310B, non-conforming uses and structures, and 17331, intensity of use for a proposed garage at 37 Baldwin Hill Road. Come forward and tell us what you want to do.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Conover. I'm from David Ross Associates, and I represent Mr. Andrew Struth
Thank you.
on 37 Baldwin Hill Road. This is just a different plan than what was submitted for the ZBA application. Just kind of highlights a little bit better what he's trying to do. There's an existing house at 37 Baldwin Hill, and what he proposes to do is construct a garage on the easterly portion of the house. The garage also is connected to the house by a 6-foot breezeway. This construction would cause the garage to be approximately 5 feet off of the lot line between Loxley and the property line. This house, this lot has got a strange configuration to it. It actually has frontage on 3 streets, but the house itself fronts on Baldwin Hill. This application was already submitted to the building inspector for a building permit, and obviously it was denied because it did not meet the side setback. So we're here to seek relief from that restriction. The other fact is the lot is a pre-existing non-conforming lot, so we need a variance to make improvements to that as well. This house and all the neighborhood is consistent with the size of the neighborhood. A lot of the houses in that neighborhood, and some have garages and some don't. Majority of the garages are close to the property line, similar to what we're proposing. We feel that it would be consistent with the neighborhood. In addition, the lot has got a severe slope from front to back. There's a septic system in the back of the property. So in terms of an alternate location of a garage, the existing driveway is there on that site anyway, so it makes perfect sense to have a proposed garage in the application. So we're just seeking a variance from the board regarding the sideline setback for this construction.
Height of the garage, please.
The height of the garage is going to be a 1-story garage. There's not going to be any rooms above it.
And the setback, you show 5 feet. Is that 5 feet from the corner of the garage to the lot line?
The
or
lot line.
From the edge of pavement to
The lot line. Probably an additional 4 or 5 feet to the pavement itself.
To the edge of pavement?
Correct.
Anybody else have questions?
So the driveway's gonna be relocated, so it's gonna come on the curb?
Well, the driveway is already in that location anyway, so the driveway would not be altered at all. And they make some improvements to it, resurfacing it, repaving
Well, it
it.
looks to me like the driveway's right up close right about here. So you're gonna have to move it to here.
They may
That's gonna
have
put
to-
it on that curb.
Yeah, they may have to expand it a little bit. We could always just keep the entrance, off of Baldwin Hill in the same location. So we can have a turnaround to get into, or a turning area to get into that driveway, into the garage. So that's what the board would feel more comfortable with. I agree with you, that would be a little closer to that intersection. Not saying that's a busy intersection by any sense, it's difficult to the residential neighborhood. But that could be proposed as well, if you just have a keep the entrance to the driveway the same.
It's a pretty good sized garage. What else are they planning to put in there? That's plenty
Well-
big for more than,
Like most people, Mr. Schuth has some toys, and he has, right now he has a, pickup truck. And there's another car that would be located within that garage. So it's more for vehicles, but also for any other items that he may want to store. The other aspect of this, which is they're contemplating in terms of the interior, currently the laundry facilities are in the basement. So it's their intention to get those on the first floor, so that size of the garage would also allow them to have laundry facilities on the first floor. It's more of a convenience than anything.
What's a typical width of the garage for a car?
20, 22, 24,
24 is what we see here.
About 12 feet
With
per.
10 foot.
9 feet doors, 8-foot doors. This is a big garage.
Yes, and it's awfully close to the property line. 5 feet is really close.
I would
And
just,
like I said, it may, you're infringing with the driveway on that curve, and how are you gonna deal with that? It sounds to me like a 22-foot garage, even a little deeper, would be more appropriate.
I would just make a comment that if it were a detached garage, the setback reduces to 10 feet. And so we have seen these before and done these numerous times before, since without the breezeway as a detached garage, he could have 10 feet, and you do have another 4 or 5 to the edge of pavement. So the appearance, the visual is going to look like 10 feet.
Yeah, but just 5 is awfully tight. If that was 10, I'd feel much more comfortable.
yeah, I'd agree with that. 5 just seems awfully close. So you're right, you got then another 4 or 5 feet to the edge of pavement, but it's just,
What about bringing it down to like 24 and making it deeper?
What if we eliminated the breezeway?
What does that do?
Well, the breezeway has a width of 6 feet. So if we eliminated the breezeway, keeping the garage the same, it would be closer and more in line with the existing driveway, and it would put 11 feet to that property line.
yeah, it's just, 10 feet is
Yep, I agree.
5 is really tight.
Right.
And you never know, in the future, they put in a sidewalk, they plow stuff like that, and all of a sudden it is physically close to.
Let's see what the applicant and his neighbors want to do.
Can I?
Yes.
So my whole thing is, I have a full-size pickup truck. My wife has a pickup truck. I also have a work truck. A 21, 22-foot garage, you're not gonna park 2 pickup trucks in and get out of the trucks. If you look at the garages that came with the houses in that neighborhood, they're used as sheds. They're not used to park cars. Basically, like I told you before, I'm stuck in Littleton for quite a while now, and I just want to be able to use it comfortably.
Your engineer just said if you eliminate the breezeway,
Yeah.
you don't have to reduce the size of your garage. Does that work for you?
Yeah. If it has to go to that, yes. I'm wondering if we can do a smaller breezeway. The only thing that, go ahead, John.
Well, I think Sherry's rationale is what we followed in the past. That if it was detached,
Yeah.
you'd get 10 feet. Although I'm not sure even on the frontage of the road, but whatever. And so we feel comfortable with 10 feet. So you take 5 feet out of
Yeah.
the addition, however you want to do it. You know,
Okay.
1 foot out of the breezeway,
Yeah.
3 feet out.
No, I think 10 feet is reasonable.
I just want to clarify that my rationale was to try to convince the board that we can look at less than 15 feet. I have been present when we voted many of the offsets for garages to be less than 15, less than 10. And I personally wouldn't mind if it went to about 8, but I also think 5's a little light, but I don't think he has to hit the full 10.
Well, are we discussing this now? Or we won't? Okay. It's on a street. It's different than if it's a side lot line with a fence and, you know.
That's fair, except we have the two-street exception.
No,
Exception.
but if we're considering relief from whatever, because what did Roland say, the frontage?
Yeah, well, let's read Roland's letter.
Yeah.
Well, let's read Roland's letter in. Okay, the applicant seeks a variance to construct an attached garage onto an existing single-family dwelling encroaching into the required additional street setback. The addition of the garage is a new nonconformity. The lot is bounded on 3 sides by public road, Baldwin Hill, Loxley, and Edsel. The lot is undersized at 15,930, allowing reduced frontage setback to Loxley of 15 feet, as allowed in 17331 Note 8. So it doesn't really address
So
what we're
that's an
talking about.
advantage to you, because normally it'd be 30 feet, and we'd be going from 30 to 5. Now
Because
we're
you
just-
consider it frontage.
Yeah. Now, well, because you have so many frontages.
Okay.
So you have a unique situation here that would allow us to consider less than 30 feet, and, 5 feet's tough.
What if, is there anybody else that wants to speak to this?
How far is how big is the breezeway?
He said it's 6 feet,
And how wide is the garage?
28.
28.
What if we went to, say, 27 feet, there's your foot that you're looking for otherwise, and instead of a 6-foot breezeway, maybe a 5, and knock it down to the 9 foot from the sideline? Plus, it's another 5 or 6 feet actually to the pavement. Because he's fronted on 3 sides, it shouldn't be a detriment to him.
Can you do
If it was woods, it wouldn't be as much of an issue with you.
27 and 5? I didn't think you could do odd numbers in construction.
Oh, sure. You
Just cut the wood twice.
27, 3.5.
18 inches. 18
It's only
inches.
short on one end.
Oh, man. That's
27 to
funny.
5 brings you up to 7.
Well, I like the idea, of, let's
27
say
and
10
5.
feet, and whatever he wants to do between 10 feet and the house is
10
up to
doesn't,
them.
10 doesn't give him
Well-
enough. 10 doesn't give him enough. And, I'm glad Mr. Scott's here. There's a history of Mr. Scott. When this board acted unreasonably in his request for I believe it was setback, right?
That was the size of a building.
The size of the building. He went and built 2 huge buildings, and it would have been a beautiful, tasteful, less expensive construction for him to build the one building. But sometimes the zoning bylaw just doesn't seem to work. If he goes to 27 and 5, is 32, so
27, that's
that
just
gives
a
him
foot.
9 feet.
And according to this thing, it
And
says,
not 2 feet off of it, so it's going from 5-foot offset to 7?
To 7, I don't think that's enough, yeah.
All right, so,
why can't we go to 10? I mean, 10 is a
Well,
number that everyone can understand.
well, I understand that if it was detached, you could get 10 feet, correct? So, it's just as easy to build the building and detached and then later connect them.
Okay,
Well,
let's-
that's what we're saying. We're saying that we would
Right, so-
approve a
Right,
10-foot
so,
setback.
so what if we got a relief from the 10 feet because it was detached instead of the 15 that you...
You don't get relief from the 10 feet because it's detached. That's as of right. You wouldn't
And
even,
he's saying,
Oh.
what if he came here
Yeah.
with a detached garage and
then
said,
you wouldn't need to come here if you were 10 feet off.
Then we'll ask for 5 feet, we're only asking for 5, or half, a little bit of difference. It's just that, because I know that it's,
We would have a
As we-
building
as we
less
get
than
older-
10 feet from a road.
I can understand that he doesn't want to go down in the basement. The breezeway, the main reason is a place to enter the house without having to go into the garage to go into the house, not using the front door, and being able to use a washer and dryer on the same floor.
and take
Here's
over.
here's
That's
what I'm
the
trying to do. I like my cars. And I was talking to Kevin earlier today, briefly, these garages that were built for Chevettes and Honda Civics back in the day. I'm not gonna back my truck in or my wife's truck in and be able to open it's just the way, I wanna be comfortable in it. Like I said, I'm gonna be in Littleton the rest of my life now. I've always wanted a garage, now I can afford one.
Does it help
We
if-
like garages. We like people to have, we like people to have
So
garages.
here's the master plan
Yeah.
too. If this makes any difference, maybe it doesn't. It's the garage, kitchen's being done over, and the whole house is gonna be sided the way the garage is. I mean, it's gonna look really nice, and I'd love to do it there.
What happens if we take away the breezeway but give you a couple more feet in the garage? So you have a little space in the garage to take off your dirty boots or whatever, and
Yeah, the whole thing started with just the garage. And then Peter opened his mouth and mentioned to my wife about
we should have a breezeway.
and moving the laundry upstairs, and of course she loved that. I mean, that's,
Just makes sense.
but,
I mean, that's what we're here for, is it's something that makes sense to everybody. And
Except for if we allowed a 5-foot front setback for every house in Littleton, It would be quite different than it is now.
I can understand that, but it would also be keeping two people that don't have any more children to move into that house if he decides to move.
We
So
can't.
that in long term, it's a good
We
benefit
hear
to
all
all.
kinds of stories. And we have to go on what, we also, for variance, you have to make a case for lot topography, this, that, the other thing. I haven't heard any of that yet.
Can I go back to what I just started to say? If you went to a 30-foot garage and you kept it attached, you could get your laundry in that garage as if it were a breezeway without just having a separate 6 feet. And you're going to 9 feet, I think, if your numbers are right? You're going to a 9 feet offset. And I think that leaves your laundry in the garage, and it gives you a place beside the cars that's plenty of room to take off, the dirty clothes or the shoes and run in the house.
I think that that might be more feasible.
It's a good compromise, I believe.
All right, well, because there's a chimney on that side too, in order to try and
Get around it.
make that work to get by the chimney to get into the building from, other than through the front end. All right, so you grant a 9-foot offset?
Well, I'm just one
One
person, that
person
was my suggestion.
Pardon?
That was just my
One
suggestion.
person is suggesting.
All right, yeah, I mean, it's a.
I would consider that an
consideration.
offer.
So if you put the laundry in the garage, then you're gonna have to heat the garage, right?
Portion of it.
And she would have to go from inside the house to the garage.
Can we not design, I'm an architect, by the way, so can we not design this? And we can just talk about the issue of a building 10 feet away from the property line?
Well, it's part of the
Or
record.
5 feet away.
It's
or
part of the
nine.
discussion, it's come up in the record, so it's something we can certainly,
And just remember that if there's an overhang, the offset is to the sky. So factor overhang in.
I'm not gonna
Well,
worry
Roland
about
asked me to
overhang. I
remind,
know, okay.
because if you're writing a variance based on a distance, then
Okay. So do you understand what Shelley just said, that the building inspector considers overhangs as part of the setback? So you would have an eave, and it'd be of some distance, and that would also need to be offset from, that's where they would judge this setback.
Well, given the hardship, the constraint of the lot, which is really significant,
What is the constraint?
it's septic everywhere else. The garage has
It's
to
not
be on
septic
this
on the other
side.
side of the house.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too.
Yeah, with.
I mean, I know it's not convenient to have it.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I would, if you want me to put it, if you can find if I could put that size garage on the other side of the house, I'd do it tomorrow. There's not enough space.
And also
there's not-
doesn't, it
oh, I
probably
see.
enters into
Yeah,
the
then you're
bedrooms.
within 10 feet of your neighbor, which.
And he's got all of
worse
his-
than 10 feet to the road. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got all of his grades on that side of the house too. But anyway,
Oh, it looks like it fit, if this is to scale.
but it's on the bedroom side.
Yeah, I know, that's.
Yeah, it doesn't make
that's not-
sense.
but as
Yeah.
far as
So,
fit goes.
so my leaning is to give him an 8-foot offset. I heard what everybody said, you all want him to be 10. I think because the edge of the pavement is so far away, I would give him an 8-foot offset, let him do whatever he wants. Breezeway and smaller garage, bigger garage, I don't care. Give him the 8-foot offset. He's not going to accomplish what he needs with a 10-foot offset, but he can get it in with an 8, especially if you have to
How
count the
many
eve.
times, and I think you need some relief, there's no doubt about it, and I would, be for that. But how many times have we said as a board, need is not the reason for a variance? A 28-foot wide garage is not a need. It's, I want it, like I'd like to have, different setbacks on, so we're talking about 2 feet now? I think everyone on the board is comfortable with 10 feet? And we're talking about 2 feet that would completely obliterate the use of your garage? I don't think that's the case.
No, I wouldn't say completely obliterate. It would be more enjoyable and
Sure.
I would be able to.
No doubt.
I mean, I have a full-size 2,500 crew cab, heavy-duty pickup truck with mirrors this long on it.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to get
So
out of
you have
it.
10-foot doors and, yeah.
As big as yeah.
Yeah, do you fit in a parking spot? I mean, parking spots aren't even 10 feet wide now.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, okay.
You can't go to the point, you can't go to
Yeah,
Canyon Square. Well,
With a truck that big, you park anywhere you want.
yeah, it's-
does anybody else have any comments on this particular application? Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor of closing the hearing?
Aye.
Okay, majority to close the hearing. Do you want to deliberate it now, or do you want to move along and we'll deliberate it at the end of the night?
We can do it now, it's fairly straightforward.
Okay, poll the board. Alan?
Favor the 8-foot.
Jeff?
10 feet.
I prefer 10, but at least it's closer to 10 than 5.
And Mark?
Now, 10 foot.
Someone want to make a motion? Try it at 8, see what happens.
I move that we grant the variance for this 37 Baldwin Hill Road to provide an 8-foot distance between the structure and the property line for the purpose of building this garage.
All those in favor? I'm sorry, I need a second.
Would that not include the eaves?
No, it would include the
Including
eaves.
the eaves.
So,
Including the eaves.
as a practical matter, it would be further than 8 feet from the property line.
What's
See, I
the,
would-
about
I-
a foot?
It could be a foot, it could be 8 inches, it could be, you want something. you know.
See, I would not have a problem with saying 10 feet and not count the eaves.
Well, except that
Can't
doesn't
do
do
that.
the building inspector any good in enforcing it.
Yeah, you can't do
Or a
that.
plot plan or whatever.
If we vote, we need what, majority vote? And if we vote against the 8 feet, can we make a proposal for 10 feet?
Mhm.
There's a motion for 8. Hasn't been seconded.
I'm kind of, so I'll second it, because,
Okay, Alan and Rod are at 8 feet.
At least it's not far.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor of an 8-foot offset, variance granted with an 8-foot offset, signify by saying aye.
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 Carries.
3 to 2. All those
I didn't
against?
say no.
Oh, I'm sorry. All
I
those,
just don't want to say yes.
all those opposed?
I'm going to abstain, yeah.
And you're going to abstain?
Oh, does that affect the vote?
It's a variance.
No, you got
wasn't it,
3.
before?
so-
Yeah.
4 out of 5.
Okay.
What?
It's a variance.
Variance.
Okay.
And the fact that that includes the eaves, like I said, I don't care that much about the eaves, but the body of it, so now we're getting closer to 10 feet by, for the side of the garage itself.
And it's only a 1-story.
Mark, do you want to do it or should I?
What?
We're being browbeaten by.
We only need 3, it doesn't matter.
Shelley says we need 4.
Do we want to say something about, like he was saying, make the driveway where it presently is and not in
I think that's a
front of
good,
his
that's a good point, because you didn't draw it in, and it's gonna be a little tough thing to get a driveway in and that existing curb cut and to, be able to back in there.
But that's
We
a
have these
planning
nice
board
big
issue,
walls.
that's not our issue, so why would we
No,
include
they don't go
that?
before the
Oh.
planning board on
Yeah.
this, and we have a right to look at safety and granting a variance. So would you like to modify the motion? Alan's motion is to grant a variance for the garage no closer to the lot line than 8 feet on condition that the driveway access to Baldwin Hill Road remain in its present location.
Or at least is not.
I think
on
it
this
could be,
curve.
it could be widened, but it should not,
Yeah, no, it would have to be widened.
yeah, but it can't be widened beyond the radius, where the radius begins for the corner. So that'll give you an extra.
Oh, yeah, well, that makes sense.
Corner of the pavement.
Yeah.
All right, to modify your motion that way, Alan?
Sure.
Second?
Second.
Now, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Jeff? Thank you. Mark?
Does it affect it?
No, you can say no.
I can say no.
8 feet.
No, I don't often dig in, but it's a big garage, and it's very close to a road. You get a fair amount of traffic on that road? Well, more than some, and it's just really close to the edge of the
But
road.
less than others.
Well, yeah, no, there's plenty of more busy road, but there's a lot less, but
There's not that much traffic.
The only time you
good.
get traffic on that road is
Yeah.
when 495 has a
You've got a 4-vote, go
I come
home.
up that road every
You
night
got
to
it
go
in.
home.
I need to go see a baby.
You got a 4-vote, go see your
You're the
baby.
granddaddy.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Oh,
Thank you.
We're very lenient.
We are very lenient.
I mean, if it was like a 22-foot, I'd give him 3 feet.
28 is huge.
I'd give him 3 feet on a 22-foot garage, because you need it.
Yes.
You need one big ass garage, you live with the coast.
Yeah.
The garage is bigger than the
For the board to.
So, but,
But, you know, if there's small lots there.
yeah, no,
If we
definitely.
ever did a garage, we'd be probably coming, because we'd be probably less.
I could use another foot, I just bought it. Don't ripen it out.
Yeah.
But that's an 8-foot door.
Yeah,
Build a shed somewhere else, or is it yours?
that's standard door, AC.
It's gonna look, it's gonna look, I mean, I try not to think of aesthetics, because it's not, but it's gonna have to be a big ass.
If he said, if he said, if he,
I don't have any.
he seemed agreeable with 10-foot doors. That's 20, 4 feet in between the 24
Okay,
foot. and
I'm
the
sorry,
20.
it's 8:50, and, sorry, 7:50. And I'm calling case number 882A, the petitioner m and M Realty request for a variance pursuant to section 17310B, nonconforming uses and structures, and 17331, intensity of use schedule for a proposed new dwelling and retaining wall at parcel 123, 124, and 126 Oak Road. I need to recuse myself from this hearing because I represent the petitioner on many matters, and Jeff, you're it.
So this is let's just do some housekeeping. This is a new variance as opposed to a continuation of the old one, because it's a new proposal.
Correct.
Okay. So you have been before us before on this property, but the property configuration has changed somewhat?
No, actually,
Yes.
Hasn't it gotten bigger?
From our last time we
Yeah.
were here,
We
we
added
purchased
a
an
lot.
additional
Okay.
lot.
And the last time we asked for you to flag the wall.
We did that.
Okay. Which then allowed the abutters to take a look at it. Okay, so what I would like you to do is to, all of you, highlight, to explain what we need a variance for, but also explain how it differs from the previous one.
So, good evening, I'm Jennifer Platt, I'm here on behalf of M&M Realty Trust, along with our engineer, Jonathan Markey. This is the proposed plan. The only thing that we need relief from the board for is the retaining wall along the front of the property. You can see this is it's an alternative septic design. It reaches, as you know, if we go above 4 feet or 4 feet or above, we'd need relief from the board. It reaches 4 feet at the apex at the front for about 2 feet. The rest of it starts at 2 feet on the side lot line, increasing around the property to the very middle where it just touches 4 feet, and then it tapers back down through 3 feet down to 2 feet again. As you know, any retaining wall 4 feet or above requires approval from the board. To make matters just a little more interesting for this property, we've been in front of the Board of Health, and we had a conventional system plan, which has been approved but for the retaining wall variance. If we went with a conventional plan, Jonathan can switch to that one, the retaining wall would be much higher, and it's something which we would think that the neighborhood and the town wouldn't be as thrilled with, because although it starts at 3 feet around the edges, it peaks at 5.5 feet. We need to prove to the Board of Health that we could get this plan permitted, that we could get a variance for 5.5 feet retaining wall, so that then we can go actually build the alternative plan, which, but for an inch, wouldn't need approval in front of this board at all. There are no other relief required from the board. Everything else in terms of front setbacks, side setbacks, those are all compliant. It is just for this retaining wall along the front of the property, and as I mentioned, the developer
Back
wants.
of the property.
That's the back, sorry, the back of the property. But as I said, in order to build the less invasive, less cumbersome plan, we need approval for the higher retaining wall.
So this is a confusing situation, and I will try to talk about my understanding of it. So the intention, so you are before us to get approval for this plan.
Yes.
Yes.
We
But
need
you
to approve this
intend
plan.
to build the other plan.
That's correct.
And the reason you need to get this plan approved is at the insistence of the Board of Health agent who interprets, so you are going to take this approval and go to the Board of Health and say, we don't want to build this high wall, we want to build just the wall we need.
Correct.
And will
Yes.
you let us do this?
Correct.
We've already submitted the drawings for it.
So why do they need approval for 5.5?
Because the Board of Health agent is saying that in the future, if you do have to do a conventional system, the variance would have, when you grant a variance, if it's not acted upon within a year, it would go away. So he is asserting that they actually need to build the tall wall.
Which
Which I don't agree with, because it would, if the vote were to happen tonight and the board were to approve the construction of a retaining wall up to 5.5 feet high, which is proposed on this plan, which we would need to build a conventional system, the approval tonight, although it would expire in a year, it would be difficult to go back several years later and show a previous approval for just that situation and have the board deny it. It would be arbitrary and capricious for a board to look at that previous approval and say, well, we're not going to allow it now. So it's important that we get that approval tonight. Whether it's being constructed this year, next year, 10 years from now, we still have that approval on record. And if they did have to come back before the board for the construction for that variance, it would be granted again.
But the intention is to build the
The
alternative
intention is to
plan,
build a wall that is only 4 feet tall.
and the
4.1.
timeline on that is, if it were all
Now.
approved, then that would be going forward immediately. It seems a bit of a jumping through hoops that we need to get the approval for the higher wall, but in order to do the other
That
project,
doesn't make any sense to me. If you're proposing a 4-foot wall, go forward with that. We can continue the hearing. If you don't get it, then we can readdress the 5.5 feet.
But I
The-
can't get approval for this, I can't get approval for the smaller wall without the board's vote.
That doesn't make
And
sense
to-
to me.
I know it
Just-
doesn't, and
and
I
just-
agree, but
and just to-
Bureaucratic sense.
it is.
Yeah, it
It's-
makes bureaucratic
It
sense.
doesn't make sense to the building official, it doesn't make sense to, but the Board of Health official, or the agent.
Board of Health agent
This is
requires
his,
that.
determination.
And the reason that we're hearing is that we need to prove that we could build a conventional plan. So with this variance, then we have proof that we could in fact build a conventional plan. Having then proved it, then we can submit our plans for the alternative plan to say, yes, we could build a conventional plan, but there's an alternative plan which we think is in fact better, and this is what we want to build.
We had issues with 5.5 feet before. What has changed?
Well, you're not approving the height. You're approving the setback from the line. So there's a wall regardless of which of these you approve. For Board of Health purposes, they have to be approved for the higher one in order to get the Board of Health permit, because you have to prove you can do a conventional system even though they're building
But
the
if it's over
alternative system.
5.5 feet, over 4 feet.
Both
we have to
feet,
get a-
both require a building
It's a
permit
structure
because
that- right.
it's a structure
Yeah.
at one point.
Could
We haven't
you-
even talked about the setback yet.
Could
for the wall.
you highlight the areas above 4 feet on this drawing?
So
Above.
this is the conventional plan.
Well,
Do you
the
want to see
conventional plan, it would be over 4 feet and.
Where's the tallest
significantly-
part?
Right,
Where's the shortest?
so
This
The
is the
portions
conventional
that
plan.
would be over 4 feet start about here and would end at this corner. So the back wall up to about here would be higher than 4 feet.
And then the other wall isn't an issue because it's within the setback. I mean, as it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, the previous plan incorporated a smaller area. Didn't
Look
it?
the other lot, JJ.
Pardon?
I'm asking him to pull up the previous plan that doesn't show the additional lot.
Oh, okay.
And we had more of a wall.
Yes,
We
the
got house up
wall,
front.
the
Wall on
wall
all
went all the
sides.
way around like this. And this is the lot that was
It's been
added.
incorporated.
And could you also explain what you tried to do with the property?
I'd love to.
Well, I don't know the details, but as I understand it, you went to town meeting to try to
We
buy
did.
budding
We-
properties.
We proposed buying those 4 lots out behind it. Those 4. It was believed that the selectmen bring it to town meeting, and during the town meeting, they lumped them all together, put restrictions on it of no structures, and put a value of $136,000 to them.
Okay.
Which is
With no structures.
no structures, no,
So that
so
makes
all
sense.
4 of those lots are town-owned land with over 100 feet between that and Narcissus.
Who would buy it if they can't do anything?
Yeah, can I comment on that?
But, I mean, we proposed to buy it.
So, okay, so we'll have a
photos.
butter speak in a minute, but I'm just trying to get the whole issue out.
Well,
Okay.
could I comment on
Oh,
just
sure.
what happened
Okay.
at town
Yeah.
meeting? So I'm Cammy Bean on Oak
Yeah.
Road. I mean, what happened was at the Board of Selectmen hearing here, these guys asked to put those 4 lots together with a no-build restriction on it. That's what went to town meeting, and the FinCom threw on the 100, they wanted market value. They didn't want those to get sold without the town getting its fair share, so
But how did they determine the market value?
I don't know how they
I
did that.
don't either.
They threw the market value, but what was agreed by the Board of Selectmen was no build restriction,
That's what
and
we
then the
had
4
on.
lots, and then it had to get sold to an abutter. So that was agreed with these guys.
And that
And
would
then the dollar
eliminate
amount was put on it.
So the price was the issue.
Yeah.
And presently, the town, is that parcel been, is it
Initially,
being marketed? Is it being?
2 years ago, it was, it went out for bid, one parcel went out for bid,
And nobody bid on it.
and it was $10,000, and no one bid on it.
Okay.
And maybe we should have bid on it, but we didn't.
Okay, so I'm just trying to, since you've been here at the previous incarnate, and we're all disappointed that we're back here, with this. Okay, so let's go back. So this one had a similar tall wall. It was, it's hard to say.
Yes,
that-
it was
So
the
that's
same
all
height.
the way around it.
Yeah.
And what was the height on that?
It's the same,
Jonathan?
it's the
They
same
were here
exact
for a
wall.
variance, so
Okay,
it
it's
would've
the
been-
same.
Okay, so let's go back to what we're voting on, because it's confusing. Because
It
we
is.
will actually be voting on something that will presumably not be built.
Yes.
Correct.
And that leaves a certain risk to our decision if we thought that what we were voting on was not desirable.
So it's absolute, if we approve this, it's 100% certain that it will not be built.
We will not build it.
Okay, it's not like a Plan B if for some reason Plan A.
Neighbors
falls.
had issues
Yeah.
with the height of the wall.
So it's purely because the Board of Health agent, before you gotta prove you can do A before they let you do B.
Correct.
Do they prefer one system over the other, and that's why they're asking for a 2-step process?
So DEP, the reason why you have to show that you have the ability to build the conventional system is DEP has allowed these alternative technologies, but they have not said that they provide any further treatment beyond what a typical system does. So they're saying you can use these, but there's not enough evidence to say that they work better than a regular system. So in the event that they don't work as everyone says as good as they're supposed to, you should be able to build a regular system.
So it is
Has DEP
theoretically
ever-
possible that you could build the alternative system, and for some reason, they say, no, it doesn't work, you gotta put in a normal system.
Has that ever happened? Have they?
No, it's just,
Theoretically, it
right,
could
it's just that they have not proven that they treat the sewage any better than a regular system. That's the only reason.
Oh,
It's they say that the level of treatment is equal or better, but they're not saying it is better.
What is the difference between the two? Just for our own,
Yeah, cost. The level of treatment is, I'm gonna say it's better, because.
no, but
the-
what does it do that makes one better than the other? Does that
So
make a
it
holding
uses
tank,
what's-
different
it
stirring
uses-
mechanism, or?
It uses pressure distribution. Pressure distribution is the even application of effluent over a particular area. Whereas a typical leaching system, the water comes into the D-box, it goes out to the end of the leaching lines, and it can continuously and progressively fails from the end of the trench up to the beginning. So you have this progressing failure until the system is overloaded and doesn't work anymore. With pressure distribution, it doses the entire system equally, so there's not just one end is getting effluent, it's the whole area. So the whole area has better aerobic treatment, it has better filtration, it's not concentrating sewage to one spot.
How does it pressurize? Is it a pump?
There's a little pump in there,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
small pump, yeah.
Would you show the proposed, are we actually proposing to build?
So this would be the bed. That, it's just a sand bed, and it's got these little irrigation tubes. They're like half-inch diameter. And this pump chamber has a little hydraulic unit on it that it doses that field a number of times a day, not just, 2 or 3 times. It's almost continually dosing. It does these little doses all day. And then depending on how much usage the system is getting, it will dose the same frequency but more water. So it provides, better distribution of the effluent over time also.
Do you need a backup power supply if there's a pump there, or?
The control panels have generator receptacles. So if you get a power outage, you can
Same as a
twist
pump
lock
system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Twist
I
lock
mean,
the
Same as a
generator.
yeah, just.
Yeah, and all of the,
Without power.
yeah,
but-
and they're all designed to provide 24-hour storage.
And this system is actually, it's more expensive for the applicant to build. We're willing to put the extra cost in, and it also comes with additional maintenance requirements. These plants, or these systems get inspected annually by the Board of Health, because we are sensitive to how this will look to the neighbors. And the only reason we're going with this plan is to try to make this property be more attractive in the neighborhood and bring down that wall height. And keep this as a 4-foot wall at the highest, with the rest of it just being a 2-foot wall.
Thank you.
And Cheryl had brought up other issues with the drainage. We have 2,
Oh, thank you, the catch basins.
these are dry wells for roof drainage.
So all the drainage stays.
All the drain will go to this, so there'll be no sheathing of water leaving or.
There was concern from Narcissus about water, but it appears to me that this would discharge no water really on the, will not.
It captures it on site.
On any area. Do we have any other questions about this presentation? I'm going to open it to the abutters.
Yeah, well, the other concern I have, of course, is there's no setback, so you're on somebody else's property maintaining the wall. Usually they're set back, 10 feet, 5 feet?
No. I mean, we have see these all over that area of town that are, a foot or so from the.
There's one near my house that's about 8 feet back, so.
Since that adjacent property is unbuildable. I mean, that's the town-owned property that they said that they
Back.
are not gonna allow.
Well, isn't
structures
that
on.
technically what we're voting is to
Allow that.
allow, not so much the height of the wall, as we're eliminating the setback. We're approving zero setback. Because if
You
this
could-
was
you
10
could-
feet from the side.
You could build up to a 4-foot wall
Foot, JJ?
on the.
Yeah, there's
property
a,
line.
there's a
Yeah,
foot.
but we're approving a 5-foot wall within the setback. That's what we're
Because once it goes over
allowing,
4
is
feet,
no
it's
setback,
considered
right.
a structure.
What is the setback? There's a little bit there,
It's a foot off each property line.
and you can't pull that in a couple more feet?
I can't because the size of the system, so if we want to talk about the, situations in which you have to be met to grant the variance, topography, lot shape, and soils. As you can see, you see the soil test right through the middle of the system right here. These are the best soils on the site. Some of these test holes actually ran slower than what's allowed to have the system in that area. So we're bound to this area to put the system. Lot shape, we're bound to what we have, and even going one step further, we actually added another lot to make it the best that we can. And topography, the land is sloping from the left side of the screen down to the right-hand side of the screen. We're staying with the contour of the land. We are raising the grade, but we're still staying with the contour of the land and catching any runoff in these two dry wells. So to answer your question, we're kind of bound with the size and the location of the system. It has to stay there. So I can't move the wall any closer in because there's a 10-foot offset for the wall to the actual system.
Abutters, who'd like to speak? And if you would identify yourself.
I'm fine with it, it's all on.
You were from Narcissus, is that right?
I own property on Narcissus
Okay,
Road.
yeah. Oh, and you were here for one of your neighbors who wasn't able to attend?
No, I'm here for me, I
Okay.
own property, I live on Maplehurst, but I
Okay.
have property on Narcissus.
Okay,
So I was concerned because we already have 2 septic systems from people. One's Goldsmith Street, but he did a beautiful stone wall, his is really lovely. The next house, I think Shaw's built that, it's terrible, it's all mud and muck, and I wish that I had known that when they're putting them in, you have X amount of time to go to the Board of Health, and I wasn't aware of that, but we've petitioned for them to finish the road, to pave it, so. But the lot that the Beals wanted to buy on Narcissus, and no one's gonna pay $136,000 for a lot of land to come build on, that's
stipulated, yeah.
that's ridiculous, And of course, they did that at the town meeting after you had all these other very long, it was very late.
Very long and expensive.
Let's just get out of here, But I have no problem with the Fields. I think that they build affordable housing for, my children wanted to buy in Littleton, they don't have to have 3 acres of land, and they've just made it nice for the people in Littleton. And they put up very attractive homes, so I have no problem with it.
What type of wall is that? Is it concrete? If I remember, you were gonna
Segmented.
make it some.
Segmented,
extent-
nice,
Yeah,
they're the
aesthetic.
nice face.
Okay.
It's
yeah.
like the rustications.
Yeah, they're not the
Not the big ugly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a
They're 8
concrete
inch tall.
form wall
Yeah.
with the.
You can actually see them, we built them on Manchester, we've done them on Lincoln and Washington. They're really expensive and they're really nice.
Anyone else? Can you identify yourself?
Yeah, so Cami being on Oak Road 27, so across and down. I mean, we know the soil there is terrible, we know it's really wet. I have an alternative system, that's probably what you're gonna have to go with. I think we'd be okay with the alternative plan. I'm concerned about approving. It just feels weird. I mean, that was the issue you guys had before. I am 5'2", right? So a 5.5 foot wall, that's pretty outrageous. What kinds of assurance can there be? I mean, you guys didn't want to take the risk last time. You said it felt like you were in, it was kind of contingent on whether or not they could buy these other lots. And, we've been through a lot. We want to see a good house built here, but how can we assure that that's not
Put it in
what gets
writing.
built?
Because Fields will never come before us again.
I'll put it in
He will
Yeah,
not
I mean,
dare
I think the neighborhood would feel better if you put that in writing, and I don't know how
We have to put it in
contractual we
writing.
can hold you to that, but, that would feel.
The issue, as I understand it, is that the Board of Health agent wants to know that in the future, if the system failed or whatever, that they could build this,
Right.
May I interrupt for a second
Yeah.
while you're on that thought?
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, when a system fails, you don't go and put it, you're gonna put it right back where it was, at the same components, the same, that's what happens. You excavate the soil out, you put the new soil in, the components are all there, and you go right back at it.
And in addition, you have a reserve for this system.
Right.
So the system would have to fail, then the reserve would have to fail. And then, so,
It's
I mean, I
crazy.
hear you, I
understand
feel the
it's
same
crazy.
way, but it's, the other thing that I'm a little astounded in is that, from the previous meetings, we didn't act on it because there was a commitment to go and buy the adjacent properties, which they lived up to, and it didn't work out. And through, I might be wrong, but through no fault of their own, other than having to spend $136,000 on an unbuildable piece of property. I don't know, I don't know how we would write something that could completely address your concern.
Help them out, Jennifer.
And
Yeah, please help us
happy
out.
to. And I understand the frustration, because we have the exact same frustrations, like, why are we here asking for this when we have a plan that we want to build that we think is superior? And we really are just kind of trying to check off the box for Board of Health so we can show that we'd be compliant. I don't know if you can put in your decision that we approve the alternative system. And we understand that the applicant is endeavoring to build an alternative system. If that gives you comfort.
No, we could put it, the applicant has committed to build the alternative
Yes,
system.
But if
and I
we
think
approve
that's-
5.5 feet, it can be 5.5 feet.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
And I don't know how we resolve this on more of a townwide basis, so you can approve the plan that we want to build without this step, because I think it would save the board, an exercise, and us an exercise, but I don't know how we do that yet. So given the regulations and the interpretation that we have by our town, this is what we need to do.
Well, and I think I would make it more specifically the town Board of Health agent, because other
I was trying not to
building officials are not.
point too much.
Yeah, they're not in agreement, so, but he's the authority. Is there anything else?
Hi, Liz Kroll. I live directly across the street.
Yeah?
And I was here when we had the meeting about the 5.5 feet.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this seems like it's a little bit shorter. It's not 5.5 feet. What'd you say, 4.5?
It's 4.
Four.
Four.
Four
Okay.
for
You
a
don't see
couple
the
of
wall
inches.
because
And
it's
it's
in the
only
rear.
And
in the
it's
back.
only in the back. It's not the fortress effect that was
Bathtub
before.
effect.
Yeah, the waffle iron
waffle
effect.
iron, yeah.
Right. And I agree, the house that's just closer to Goldsmith Street, that wall is very
That's right
big, and
under
it's-
the
and
limit,
it's-
that's 4
and it-
feet, I think.
Yeah, but it's right on the property line.
Yeah.
I still don't, I think the town shot itself in the foot by saying, oh, you want this property for 10 grand? Oh, no one wants it, never mind, now it's all one piece, and you can't build on it, and we want 136,000. They really shot themselves in the foot, because they're not getting property tax money on it.
They did worse than that.
They-
We were
they
gonna
shot
have
you in the
the
foot,
adjacent
too.
person too.
Yeah, they really did. What is the advantage to price-wise, this system costs more money.
A lot more.
Than the system that,
Than the conventional.
right. But the conventional one, the Board of Health agrees to do.
No.
No.
Neither one.
They,
With this
go ahead,
variance.
please.
They'd approve it with, once we have this variance in hand.
Right. Well,
So-
once you get the variance, you can put in the less
For-
expensive.
No, it's more
system.
expensive.
No, the more
It's the other
expensive
way.
system is the one that we want them to put in.
No, I mean, once they get the variance, they can
They
have the
could put-
5.5-foot
they could
wall
put
that's
in-
taller than you.
yes.
Yeah.
But
They're gonna make
they
a
want
condition.
that one.
They're gonna make a condition in their hopeful approval that says
Well,
for the,
to some degree, we have to rely on the continued reputation of you.
I promise you, we're putting that system in.
And it may be that if it was someone who we didn't know, who we had no leverage over, I mean, I don't know how to, I'm just trying to
We
think
have
about
a very
this.
big project coming in front of you
Yes,
very soon.
there are, there are significant
We will do what we
reasons
say.
why this particular developer would try to follow through in his word, I guess I would say. But I totally
my
agree with you both.
Right.
It's not tried.
Sure, let's
follow
give
through,
him,
yeah.
let's
Yeah.
give him a 5.5-foot
Yeah.
wall, but he's not gonna do it.
But I
It's-
want to pick up on what you said, in that I too think this is better than the previous one. And
Well, there's more land involved.
there's
so
more land
therefore
involved.
they're able to spread it out
This
more.
sort of, when I look at the grades, when you're on Oak Road, you're not seeing the wall, you're seeing sort of what's going to be a gently sloping lawn.
Which is more like the rest of our yards.
Yeah, and granted on the back,
Well, that's the town's view.
well, that's my point. That's the abutter that isn't here to speak, so.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it, but there'd be if no one can see it, even a 5.5-foot wall wouldn't be bad.
That's a way to think about it
So,
also.
if it does happen that we ends up with a 5.5, I mean, is it really that bad? It's not like anybody's staring at it. We're saying we prefer a 4-foot wall, he's saying he's gonna build a 4-foot wall, we just need this approval. I don't have a problem.
But you have to assume that the town could change that restriction and end up having a house in the back.
Which would also have to have a raised grade. I mean,
Yeah,
They already voted.
They already said they can't.
Yeah, but
They can
can't
always
everybody
vote
vote
again.
on
They
that?
can always
Could
come
someone
up with
bring
a
that
new-
back?
a new-
I guess,
It actually
they
weren't
could bring it back in.
They would have to have an above-grade septic system, and what would happen is you would the
Yeah.
wall would
There
disappear.
there would be a Phillies in that case.
Yeah.
which to me is the advantage of going closer to the property line with these walls, rather than having 5-foot ditches between, every property, which is why your thing on the other side of Goldsmith.
Lincoln and Washington, where they all.
Yeah,
Which
where they all merged.
Made a lot of
together, blended
sense,
together.
it's just so much better looking than it would have been otherwise. So that's why I'm not too concerned about the foot.
You ready to close discussion?
Anyone else from the abutters?
But can I just ask where the structure is on this?
Oh, yes. Can you show?
The house?
Right there.
The house is
Oh,
right
It's
there.
a small 2-bedroom.
Meets all the
It's hard to
setbacks.
move this it like lags, so you
And
can't.
is that just 10 feet from Phyllis's? Is that?
It's
No.
16 and a
that's
half from
16.
the,
It's 16 and a
Oh,
half.
that's the edge way over there. Okay.
Yeah, and then it's 30 from,
from
You
the
got all the
front.
other setbacks.
Yes,
So we
we
pushed the
matched
house
everything.
back off the road where it was, in front of the septic system on the other two lots.
Yeah.
We spread it all out. Again, as we stated before, we only wanted to build one house, and that's what we've
Right.
done. I mean, we've tried every, you're right, we would figure it
Do I
out.
have a?
Yeah, we're just trying not to
I
have to
understand.
provide the whole, stockade fence, the
Oh,
castle.
so we've had a motion to close the hearing, so we're going to close, and,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
So, do we want to deliberate now, or wait after the next? Do we have enough information?
Yeah,
Do we know what we want to do? Okay, so we're going to make a motion?
Hold the board just to make sure.
Well, Mark, what do you think?
I have no problem with it.
Okay, I agree, I understand.
I'm in favor.
Okay, I am too. And I must say, a big part of my opinion about it is because the abutters aren't up in arms. And that makes a difference to our board, so. May I have a motion? And what we should do is reference, I want to make sure we're referencing the correct drawing, not the alternative one, but the
But the
conventional one.
conventional.
So could we have an identification of that particular drawing that we could reference in our decision?
Yep, it is. It is the subsurface sewage disposal design site plan, dated revised 12/15/16.
That's this.
So is it this one
This
now?
one is not the same.
There's two of them, both of them are in there.
Oh, yeah, Rev 12, 15, 16.
Right. No number on it, though.
Yeah. it should
Then
be-
the
I
alternative
have
one
one
has
that
a
says-
revised date of 1,
Hey,
2,
revision 4.
Yeah,
revision 4, yeah.
I actually took drafting in
That's
school.
Yeah.
I actually took drafting in
That's it.
school.
Yeah.
Back when you had to do it by hand.
But to me, everything should have a number.
Yeah, no, you're right, I'm
Unique
kind
number.
of, yeah.
Okay, will someone take a shot at a,
I'd like to make a motion, we grant the variance, case number 882A, to allow a structure retaining wall over 4 feet within the setback requirement. I don't know if that's totally.
why don't we just reference the drawing?
Yeah, per the drawing
Okay.
noted, subsurface sewage design site plan for Oak Road, Littleton, Mass, Rev 4 dated 12/15/16.
Let's now put wording into this record about the commitment of the developer to pursue an alternate subsurface disposal system that would require a lower wall.
Reduce the wall height.
Reduce the wall
to
height.
Yeah, it's
not
the intent to
setback,
reduce the
right.
wall height to 4
Right.
feet.
But
But
retaining the side
you're
setback.
allowed to build whatever, if any, you're allowed, you would not need a variance for that.
Right, but that carries no weight, because we're
Right.
approving 5.5 feet, and that's it.
Okay. So, so to allow a structure over 4 feet within the setback per the drawing,
Why don't you put a maximum of
It's right there, the
5.5?
drawing behind you.
That we can,
We can reference that drawing.
that's what we.
Yeah, that's what I
Yep.
thought I did.
That says revision 5.
This is,
Oh, that's,
Okay.
this is the
other-
alternative system.
Oh.
So if you wanted to
Revision-
word your
revision
decision.
5 is the
Okay, but the
alternative
intent
system.
is to
Okay.
build
With
this one.
a
Okay.
commitment to pursue, I think is the best we can do.
That's fine.
An alternative system as shown in the same drawing, revision 5.
Yes.
Dated,
1/9/17.
okay. Anything else? Okay. Can I have a vote?
We got to second that.
Second.
Okay.
Alan seconded. Now I have a vote.
Vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Reluctantly. I don't like improving 5.5 feet. It just, to me, it's stuff, though. This guy sounds like he's kind of being rude. The Board of Health guy.
You don't like 5-foot walls, I don't like less than 10-foot setbacks.
Yeah.
So the motion.
I don't
is-
either.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
The thing is, we end
Appreciate
up
that.
giving
It's
in
better
to
be the
compromise.
cutest little house in the world.
There we
All that you've
compromised
gone
and got it from 5 to 8 anyway. Here, there's no compromise.
Okay, that's a nice little house. That's a nice little house.
The rationale that last one. The other- I
If
could've-
John was still on the
I could've
board, he
rationalized
would've
because actually it's just the
Thanks, guys.
corner that's within 10 feet. It does slope away. Now,
A lot better.
if you look at it,
Well, I looked at it when I went by this
see,
afternoon.
because it does slope away from the line. So
No
it's
septic
less than
system,
10
aren't you
there,
happy?
but you don't-
A lot of grading though.
I don't-
Yeah,
big ass.
that's, it's well
when I look at it,
Jeff,
like,
is your family from Newton?
I go by it every night when I come home, and I look
You
at
wanted
it,
to know.
boy, I can't envision it that being so close.
Okay, we gotta move along. It's 8:30. We're running late on poor Mr. Berba. Calling case number 883A. The petitioner Jason Berba requests for a special permit variance pursuant to section 173-10B, non-conforming uses and structures, and 173-31, intensity of use schedule for a proposed garage at 71 Taylor Street. Mr. Berba, sorry to hold you up.
I'm sorry. I got here early. I'm just here, I got a special permit back in 2003, 2004 to build a garage and a foyer. Built the foyer, kind of slowed down, ran out of some money, had a couple of kids, went through some family issues, and went back to the building department after we saved enough money to build the garage. I needed to get a new permit because of some, I guess, building code changes. So I'm just here to ask for another special permit so I can continue on my venture.
So this was approved earlier?
It was in 2003 and, yeah, 2003, 10, 12.
Can you come forward and describe what you're trying to do from the plan that you sent us? I can't figure it out.
Oh, yeah, just,
Don't you have like a pool or something right here, or?
no, that's a
Oh.
pool.
Oh, I
Oh,
don't
no, that's, is this the reserve? That's where my beautiful garden is.
Okay, okay. Because I, in the past, gone to the gym across the
Yeah.
street, so I've run by your house a
Oh,
lot. Okay, so this is what was previously approved, this
This one was what
garage
was
here?
previously
Okay.
approved. My wife and I decided we didn't really want to be that close to the road. It's a
Okay.
17.5-foot setback. So we decided to kind of move the garage back about 5 to...
So you would be requesting a
You can see where Google
25-foot
Earth
setback?
20,
Yeah, but so what's?
yeah, I think it's around 23 or 24 feet.
Well, you have to
That's
be
on Taylor
specific,
Street,
because
isn't it?
when
There's
we
a
write
building
something,
there.
we'll
I'm
say
assuming
in the
Route 2's
building.
up here.
It's
One at a time, please. Thank
5
you.
feet, So I guess maybe like a 22 or 23-foot, 22-foot setback.
Okay, well, we may say 22, because they would include the overhang in
Okay,
there.
yeah, just in case.
Where are you on Taylor Street again, if I can ask? I'm trying to,
We're
I'm
trying
right
to place it
near,
here.
I'm
Right across
right
from
here.
Woodshed.
So the woodshed's here. Used to be the over vet's property. It's a little dilapidated when I bought it.
I didn't see what he just
Okay,
did, and
so-
that is, this garage
This is
that
the
says
foyer
17 and a
built,
half is
and
not
then I
his
want
plan.
it instead of
It's moving
having
it
the
back.
garage.
Yeah, he's moving it, so on
Yeah,
this show,
and
it
back.
shows, this shows what he was
No, we
wanting.
decided to move it back.
Yeah.
And this is.
Years
what he's
ago we
moving
decided,
back. So he
but-
wants a 22-foot setback rather
Just
than a
move it back.
17-foot.
where's
the road.
Whitcomb? It's over here, over there.
What's that?
Where's Whitcomb?
Whitcomb is down this way,
And Route 2's up here.
and Route 2's this way. So if we were, the depot's down here, Dave's place is down here.
Yeah, yeah.
So we come up Taylor Street.
2 stories?
Dave's place.
Yep.
Going up, whoops, there.
That's right. So we come up past Dave's place, around the corner, and then
Oh, okay.
just a couple of houses up on the
Oh,
right.
here's that other road coming in. Or what is it, or is it whatever that road is?
It's a different meeting.
So your house is,
It's an item 4.
what's this, like 8 feet, is that?
Yeah, it's a 7, this is an old farmer's porch that they put.
And you're putting this back, you're putting this back 25 feet. So it's well in excess of what the house is.
Google Maps.
Yeah, originally you were granted, 17.5-foot setback.
No, I mean
But, you know, just pulling in.
Oh,
Still like to be able to put
It's in our
an hour
packet.
and a half there anyways.
So it's supposed to be 30, you're asking for 25.
So that one that has the shaded
22,
area,
yeah.
Jim
Which were
Garefi had
originally
asked
granted
him to
17 and a half.
show exactly
I
what
wanna
he's
move it back.
proposing to make sure that
Accessory
he
building.
has
It's
enough
proposing
room for
this,
his
right?
reserve area. So
It's
this is what
proposing
he
this,
just
right?
provided like yesterday or the day before.
This is what he's
The
proposing.
proposing is
The
that?
shaded area is what
This
his
is what he already
proposes.
got
This is
the
what was
approval for.
previously approved in the lighter square.
So what is the Board of Health going to say about that?
He's okay with it.
Okay.
He's reviewed that and he's okay with it because he has enough room to shift.
So
Yeah,
we
they
can do
want
this
it
as a
to shift.
special permit because he's not making a dimensional variance, and it's further back than the house is. That's.
Looks like it's
Just pointed out.
He's
25.
requesting 22 feet.
So he's not increasing the none. Well, I guess.
I'd like to request 22 feet, just in case, you know, we hit a huge, boulder in the back and I gotta move it forward.
That part of it, it's gonna be from here to here would be 22.
Yes.
So this is just like.
Okay, anybody in the audience who wants to comment on this one?
He's gonna have the last
Board satisfied that they know what he's asking for?
Just for the tracks.
This is a special permit, so we don't have to reach all the way to a variance. And somebody want to close the hearing?
Move to close hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we essentially just revote the original, whatever it is, decision and say 22 feet says 17.
Go ahead.
I don't have it, so I don't know what it says.
Oh, here.
Well, the size of the garage is different, and that was referenced in the other decision, so, you should probably
So
recommend.
just move to grant a variance.
Special permit.
Can we call this
Here, try this.
32 by 24 garage? I mean, you have 32.
Yeah,
by
that was
24. I
for,
know.
I don't know,
You pulled it in.
yeah.
So, so we,
34 by 24? Is that 34 by
Oh, 34.
32
No,
by
not
24.
closer than 22.
Yeah, this is.
Rather than, just the plan is submitted. You don't have to define it in the decision. Rod's going to make the motion.
Oh, I am? Okay, move we grant the special permit to allow for the construction of a garage that is no closer than 22 feet from the front property, front setback, as shown on the plan as submitted.
Second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No,
What's that?
you got it.
You're done.
Oh,
Congratulations.
So just know that, you know, you're going to have to probably submit a building plot plan that will show this dimension, and according to Shelley, the overhang cannot be
It'll affect.
forward
that
than 22 feet,
Right.
so just take that into account.
In all reality, I think we're gonna be set back around 25 or
More,
26
okay,
feet,
fine.
so I just kinda
Sure.
would like a buffer
Well, we
zone
like to
just in
see
case.
20 plus for parking cars anyway.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's good.
yeah, exactly. Yep. All right, excellent, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Go through it this time.
That
Go through it this time.
money's in the bank.
Okay.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to close.
Move to close the meeting.
Second.
Meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Could we talk